So welcome everyone. This is session 6AN entitled Easy Start in zOS with one of the most popular IDEs. Kirill and Victor are going to take it away. So if there are any questions, could you type them into the chat and they'll get answered at the end. Thank you very much and go ahead.
So, okay. Our topic's name is Easy Start in zOS with one of the most popular IDEs. And probably most of you have already figured out that was a clickbait. There is no easy start in anything in our lives, and especially in zOS. There are rumors that say there are at least one person in the whole world who knows everything about zOS. But unfortunately, Jesus Christ died 2,000 years ago. And luckily, along with Holy Bible, we got IBM documentation portal to comprehend all the wisdom of the mainframe. To prove our statement, we would like to remind you the syntax diagram of the TCO help command. Okay. As you can see, even docs for the help command might be not as helpful at the first sight. We want to designate that even the acquiring the basic skills in zOS might be challenging, especially if you're a graduate, for example. And what about these graduates, Kirill? Would you take a part and continue, Mike?
So yeah, it's quite interesting how new people come to the mainframe world, especially tech graduates from tech colleges and universities. So the answer is people come to the mainframe world mostly by accident. And I will explain why. So you can question yourself at which period of time you got that state of mind when you know what you want to do in your life or that you like what you do in your life. So maybe you realized it at school or at college or at university. In general, our life is really complicated. And especially university graduates are uncertain about their future and which path to choose. So we found while browsing on the internet, we found an interesting thread on Reddit in the mainframe Reddit page. So this is the post from a young graduate in computer science, and he was offered with a job as a mainframe operator in some company. We don't know which company. And yeah, we found some replies to this thread, and let's take a look at them. Victor, could you please change the slide? Thank you.
It's like it.
So as you can see, we have both positive and negative feedback on the mainframe. Some people say that that mainframe is even romantic. Some people say take the job, it's great. Some are too pessimistic, say don't take it. And you know what? When you're a tech grade, Victor and I were pretty much in the same situation a few years ago when we graduated. And we know how it feels when you don't know which path to choose. And you don't know pretty much a lot about IT in general, about software development. Everything looks interesting and challenging. And you can only rely on you can trust your heart or you can rely on others people feedback about different languages, technologies. So what I want to say is that there is one problem with mainframe. For example, a person sees who asked this question on Reddit. He's seen that some people say that he can stuck in the job, and it's really confusing. And we we would like to continue with comparing technology stacks of average graduate and a mainframer to prove that it's possible for any graduate to enter the mainframe, and that it's flexible, and that mainframe is quite flexible. So Victor, please, you can continue with the next slide.
Okay, here's an example of a typical skill stack of the graduate. So we bet that this graduate may have studied courses related to the web programming or some database administration, system programming. And as a result, we got student stacks might look like this. So this is a Java, C++, or C# knowledge, or even Python, with experience with at least one framework, for example, Spring, .NET, Django, and so on. So he's experienced in databases such as MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB. The first two of these databases are relational databases. So if you know what I mean. And he's experienced a little bit in Windows, Linux, macOS, Android, and iOS. And he probably can write some basic batch scripts on these operational systems. And for doing all of this, he would probably use IntelliJ IDEA as a IDE and another IDEs and code editors: VS Code, Visual Studio, Notepad++, and PyCharm. So, and let's switch back to the mainframe world. And why do we have the term of the mainframe world? Why do we have regular developers and mainframers? What makes work with mainframes so special? Now let's take a look at this popular mainframe stack. It can be Java because many banks has server applications that interact with mainframe. These applications can be deployed on to USS to take the full advantage of the mainframe capabilities. Or it can be C or C++ for some performance crucial tasks. As a database, we obviously have a DB2 only, but it's typical relational database that supports SQL queries, which I mentioned one slide before. And in operational system, we have zOS, basic skills, only basic skills, because as I mentioned in the first slide, there's no people that know the zOS fully. So, and USS, which is Unix-like, and it's handy to use. Code editors, that's interesting. We got 30-70 editor, terminal, background screen, Eclipse-based IDEs, and VS Code ZOE extension. And it looks like we something already have seen on the slide back. Let's compare these two tables and merge them as I write here. It's inner join. So let's do that. As a result, we got in languages Java, C++, Python for testing, plus one of the mainframe languages with additional training, because mainframe languages are not as special, they're just programming languages. Databases, experience in relational databases may be especially applied to DB2s with some training. That's pretty intuitive. zOS requires some introduction to zOS. USS is understandable. Editors, we got here only Eclipse-based IDEs and VS Code extension. And what didn't get into result? That's a question. And the answer is editors. Mostly editors didn't get into our results. We assume that that learning a specific mainframe language is not a challenge, and every developer should have some technical soft skills so they are not aware which language or technology they should use on the project. because they understand the principles of enterprise software development. It's absolutely normal when you're onboarding on the new project and getting some additional training, technical training. So because even two Spring Java projects can dramatically differ one from another. So knowing only Spring and Java, it's not a really big deal. So we assume that the editors and environment are playing a major role when you're making decision about taking a job offer or passing it. So I'd like to, Kirill, can you continue about our favorite story?
We would like to prove our statement that environment you work with and editors are very important, and that they play a major role when a tech graduate selects his path. What he wants to program. So I would like to tell you a little story about mainframe courses and why people run away from them. So on the last year of university, Victor and I, we decided to take part in courses which were called multi-platform programming courses. We were told that they will teach us how to code for mobile platform, Java, web applications, how to interact with the DB2 database, how to write applications that interact with DB2. And also they mentioned that there will be some mainframe development. And guess what did they select as the first topic to start with? So, Victor, could you please go to the next slide?
It's better to say what I personally seen on the first class.
Yeah, and many others people. So we saw mainframe at its best. And after the first logon, the half of the attendees of this course, they ran far away, and we've never seen them later. So why did it happen? So they just came up with the idea that mainframe is not about being flexible, that it's something outdated, that they will get stuck in this black and green screen forever till the end of their life. And yeah, they were very pessimistic about mainframe in general. So usually graduates they seem to choose some modern technologies that allow easy to study, easy to find a job, and also every junior software developer wants to become a senior software developer in the short period of time. And this short period of time is usually 1 year. So at least they think that they can become. And actually, it's possible with some modern technologies, for example, Node.js and Python, so you can really learn them fast. You have some nice IDEs that help you to do that. You have tons of materials on the internet. And yeah, you whole Stack Overflow to answer every question, even the most silly. So here you can see some funny questions from Stack Overflow. Yeah. So back to the class, to the first class of multi-platform courses. We think that people who ran away, we can guess, but it seems to be true that some of them might have become better developers than Victor and I, for example. And they might have become really super cool developers for Cobol or high-level assembler, but the environment and editors, everything was too scary. And so they decided to run away. So we can prove that this happens just because of the marketing. So let's talk a little bit about it. So here you can see that we decided to compare two videos. The first one is an educational video. It's educational slash entertaining video about Node.js and how to learn it in 1 hour. And it's true, you can really get the basics of Node.js in 1 hour. And on the bottom of the slide, you can see the most popular video on YouTube about the mainframe. So it's an educational slash entertaining video with only 1.1 million views. As you can see, Node.js is much more popular, and the problem is that the mainframe video is the only video with 1 million plus views. But you can you can search for Node.js, Python tutorials, or C++, and you will see that there are tons of videos, 1 million plus. So,
sorry interruption you. I would like to add that there is no videos at all about how to mainframe or how to cobble in 1 hour at all. So please continue.
Yeah, there are. It's true. It's not possible to learn a high-level assembler, for example, in 1 hour. There are also educational and videos, tutorials about mainframe languages, but they are not as demanded as Node.js and Python. And we can explain why. So some developers, so many developers like to watch some technical videos on YouTube in their free time, and when they see a new technology, they want to try it themselves. So, for example, when you start coding, if you decide to start coding in JavaScript, you can start coding just in your web browser. So you're watching a tutorial in a web browser and you can code in web browser. So we can't say the same thing for the mainframe. So until this year, until IBM released its Master the Mainframe course with access to mainframe, in the past, the only way for you to try mainframe yourself was to install a Hercules emulator, which looks like this when you configure it. And I bet that 99% of people who decided to try it out, they just give up on the first installation step.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's quite complicated and not user-friendly at all. So
yes, this is because the first half or the initial impression is the working environment, such as operational system, and the second one is a user interface and user experience of most used apps in your job. So to prove that UI is equally as UI is equally important, we will show you a quick example. So imagine that JavaScript, with all its syntax sugar and high-level features, was only available in 3270 editor. This, what it would look like. All neat features of modern development went away immediately. And this is what happens when someone opens high-level assembler, GCL, Rex, or Cobol in this editor. It makes everything look outdated. The term outdated is not applicable to the programming languages. The only thing it can be outdated is the hardware. And let's take a look at another example. This is how GCL would look like if it was supported in an IntelliJ IDEA. It doesn't look either outdated or complex. For the person who has never seen GCL before, it would look like something similar to an SQL query. Imagine if it would have an auto-completion, structure view, error detection, and the most important thing, project analysis. These features are must-have for everyone, especially for newbies. Do you find it satisfying when an IDE automatically helps you with writing some boilerplates over and over again? Fortunately, the screenshot you'll see is a plugin that we are currently working on. In our daily life, me and Kirill work with Java apps. We're using an IntelliJ IDEA, and we also have to work with the mainframe, submit some jobs, view logs, etc. And before we started working on our absolutely free open source plugin, we had been inspired by ZOE and Open Mainframe project in general. So we assume that everyone has heard of ZOE at least once. For those who didn't, know, ZOE is an open source community created. ZOE created a great extension for the Visual Studio Code, which is one of the most popular source code editors that allows running the mainframe development in it. You can try it yourself if you connect to your mainframe via REST API of zOSMF. And if you're a participant of the IBM Masters the Mainframe course, you will have a chance to try ZOE VS Code extension on your own, as well as traditional 3270 terminal. So this is great because the attendees of these courses will see that the mainframe is not something scary and outdated, and hope at some point it will be possible to accomplish these courses using our plugin, because we also want to make mainframe more attractive, especially for newbies. So, and Kirill, continue.
Yeah, so as Victor mentioned, in our daily life, we work with Java applications that interact with mainframe. So usually we have to code something in IntelliJ IDEA, and then we need to go to the mainframe, to the terminal emulator to see some data sets and outputs that are stored in them. We need to use SDSF to see how jobs are running. And we decided to write our own plugin for IntelliJ IDEA and make it open source and available for everyone. Why did we decide to do it when we have alternatives? So first, I need to say that we are aware of the fact that there are really powerful Eclipse-based enterprise solutions that allow to do super many things with mainframe, listing data sets, submitting jobs, debugging, but they are not accessible for us because they cost a lot of money, and it's not up to developers to choose which enterprise solution to use on the project. And yeah, we can only choose between like community IDEs and plugins that we have. So the other option for us was to use ZOE VS Code extension. And yeah, it's great. We are really inspired by the success of ZOE in making mainframe more attractive for new people and for those who already work there. But we don't like some features in ZOE, and this is the first point why we decided to write our own plugin. And in general, we don't have, as I mentioned before, we code in Java, and VS Code is not something you want to code in. So we don't want to work with Java using Visual Studio Code. It will be a nightmare, and I promise you. So it makes really no sense for us to install VS Code and this extension just to see something in datasets, to watch some jobs running, because you have to switch between two editors, between IntelliJ and VS Code, and it makes no sense because we currently do it with Terminal and IntelliJ, and yeah, it's not really handy. So also we need to mention that in general, IntelliJ platform is it's an IDE, while VS Code is just a source code editor, and it has more power, I mean, in language processing, and it has more extension points, so it's more customizable, and yeah, it really attracted our attention. I would like to show you how some features of our plugin. So many of you know about Mainframe DS list utility. So I think that everyone who is working with Mainframe is using it. So you know, I think that many people of the audience know that there is a feature in it. It is called DS list profiles, which allows you to collect some dataset names, USS files, USS directories, put it all together and name it as a DS list profile. And then you can refer to these lists, and you don't have to search for datasets every time you open a terminal emulator. And the only problem we have when we're working with the terminal is, and using this feature of these list profiles, is that we have situations when we need to see USS and zOS at the same time, I mean file systems. And unfortunately, when you're using DSList profiles, you have to use DSList utility to view datasets, and you have to use UDList utility to view USS. So we decided to solve this problem in our plugin. So we created an entity which is called, Victor, could you remind me please how it's called? It's called working set. So a working set is a set of DS level masks and some USS passes that you would like to browse. And we decided to pull it all together. And as you can see, it looks pretty nice and clean, easy to search within. And we really want to use it in our everyday work. So unfortunately, we have one big problem. We are doing this project in our free time, and we're quite limited with resources we have, I mean time resources and our knowledge. That's why the progress on this plugin goes not as fast as we wanted it to be, but I want to ensure you that this progress is steadily, so step by step, we're building this open source plugin. So unfortunately, we don't have many features in UI currently, but we did a lot of work on in the back end of the plugin. And we would like to cover some hidden details of plugin. So Victor, could you please tell us more about what we call it?
Okay, in order to implement the interaction between zOSMF and IntelliJ internal mechanism, we had to implement our own virtual file system based on some IntelliJ interfaces. So what it means, file system? So this is the way we store data, the mainframe users' data on the computer, and how the IntelliJ handles this data. So there's the four points I would like to show you. So the first one is very important for us, that the old data is stored only in RAM. That means it might be helpful for people whose project's policies doesn't allow to store the source code on the local machines, on the local drives. So only in the RAM. Fetch and refresh are optimized in order not to overloading the zOSMF server, because there's another one applications that are working with zOSMF-A, and they are the resource consumption is very high in these another plugins. Also, we do not store duplicate data. That means if you load from whatever working set, from whatever mask, the two unique data sets, you will get only one stored on your local file system. That means our file system has relational structure with IDs, with volumes names, with mainframe connection names and usernames. And because we implemented it right into IntelliJ framework, this allows us to implement drag and drop simply right into project tree structure. And for example, we can take the member from one library and take it and drop it onto another library, and that works. We actually didn't implement it yet, but it will be done in 2 weeks, I guess. So next one, as we mentioned before, our plugin is an open source. Why open source means is important for us. First, we are simply limited in our resources, so our team can be the whole world. We understand that it can't be the whole world, it's a fairy tale-ish, so we are limited to our mainframe community, but still we can be acknowledged that we are not alone. So, and making open source application means that the users can be sure that it contains no vulnerabilities and it's safe to use even with sensitive data, because the user can simply look through the code, trying to find malicious lines of code by himself. He simply can't find them and assume that our program is safe to use. And we actually use a lot of open source libraries in our plugin. It needs to be mentioned that even IntelliJ IDEA platform is open source. Let's see another example of how open source can power our applications. So for handling HTTP requests, we decided to use Retrofit 2, which is the most popular Java library in general. If you have an Android smartphone and have some applications installed that require HTTP and internet connections, very likely these apps use Retrofit 2. This is how simple HTTP request looks like with Retrofit 2. Simply define one function, some annotations, and voila, you have your request defined. The only thing you have to do is provide a callback function and done. You get a response body in the predefined by you POJO. That means plain old Java object, simply object without any logic, only getters and setters. So, and as you can see, this is a screenshot of our zOSMF library. And we are going to, one of our target is to completely cover all the zOSMF requests using this library named Retrofit 2, and make it available for everyone and make it open source. If you're writing a Java application and in some points you want to use zOSMF API, you will just download our library and add it to your project or simply fetch from Maven repository. Okay, next.
Okay, so
Roadmap.
yeah, we would like to cover our plans and show you our roadmap. So it looks quite ambitious for to developers trying to save the world and mainframe. So in the green, we marked a file system because we finished working on it. It works fine. So it allows to fetch data from zOS, from zOSMF to upload it, update it. Yeah, so Victor pretty much covered all points about file system. So currently we're working on mainframe languages support and it's marked with yellow. So mainframe languages support means that we are going to work with basically, we hope all mainframe languages, I mean Rex, Cabal, high-level assembler, JCL, and so on and so on. So we're planning to do syntax highlight for these languages. Where autocomplete is very important because, as we mentioned before, nowadays developers are quite lazy and they want IDEA to do the most of the coding for them. Error detection, some warnings, some analysis, and so on. So I think this is all regarding mainframe languages support. Then with blue, we marked our near future plans. So we're planning to add feature to select a member or a sequential data set and submit a job on the mainframe and to list output, to filter it. So the outputs will be presented as DSF on the mainframe, but with better UX UI. Then we're planning to create a TCO and SSH terminal. So TCO terminal will be responsible for. So it will be possible to run TCO commands from IntelliJ IDEA straight on the mainframe and to get responses. And also we are planning to create an SSH terminal to work with USS because really Victor and I, we would like to see these features in this plugin because we need them in our daily life when we're working. So in light blue, we marked our far future plans. So at some point we will implement project level analysis to analyze not only one selected member, but there will be, for example, find usages feature when you point to some function and then IDEA or other IntelliJ platform product will find usages of this function in other members and so on in modules. It will build some beautiful diagrams so that the mainframe program looks it will be much easier to understand what the program does when you have some diagram that describes how parts of the application interact one with other. And then we're planning to implement debugger and one configuration. So debugger, I think everyone knows what debugger means. Currently we don't know how to implement it, but we'll try our best. Run configurations will allow you, for example, to, when you're working with some Rex member, I think many of you know that play button in any IDE means that you will start a program. So you will so IDEA will detect which language it is. So it will detect that it's Rex, and you will just press play button, and this Rex script will be submitted on the mainframe. So with light gray, we marked our far future plans, and we are not really sure about them, but at some point maybe we'll implement Kix and SDB2 support. But I think that the most interesting roadmap point is syntax sugar for mainframe languages. It means so syntax sugar means that we will take, for example, one high-level language like JavaScript, and we have a developer that have never worked with has a developer who has never worked with mainframe, and he can come to the mainframe. He can write a code in JavaScript, and then it will be translated in another language, I mean mainframe language. So, for example, Rex. So JavaScript to Rex. Yeah, I know that it sounds crazy, but the idea itself is ambitious. But I think we need to try it out because it will. We think our we think that it can really change the openness of mainframe, and I think that Victor can continue and explain this idea more.
So this last point comes from our vision on open source in mainframe. So let's take a look at this sentence. If you simply put open source and the mainframe together, you will never get an open mainframe. You will just make mainframe more pleasant for those who are already joined the mainframe world, but still not for the rest of the developers, especially for newbies. So we think that more people will start working with mainframe if we provide new interfaces, new languages, and new mainframe sandboxes to play around for everyone for free. So, but what about Easy Start we mentioned in the first slide? Yes, it doesn't exist. With being said that it doesn't exist, we encourage you to apply your knowledge in high-level technologies, whatever technologies, to the mainframe to make it pleasant to work with, both for newbies and professionals. And the last one I'd like to say is stay tuned. So if you're interested in what we are doing and maybe you want to take part in, the stable version of plugin is coming, and the stable version of zOS REST API Java Retrofit 2 library is also coming. You can find our contacts in GSE profiles. Thanks you. So so now to the questions. You can ask the questions on the comments somewhere. I personally don't know how to watch the comments you are writing. It's in chat. Okay.
No comments.
We're waiting for your questions in chat. That's it. No questions.
Do you have one more slide to remind people of the session ID?
Yeah. Victor.
Session ID is okay. Oh.
Thank you. So,
can you see that?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone does have any questions, if they could type them into the chat, or is there the feature to put your hand up and I could unmute you if you wanted to ask directly? Or you could write directly to me on the chat and I will ask the question anonymously. Okay, well, thank you, Victor and Kirill. It was very interesting. I have to say that you're certainly taking on an aspect of the mainframe world that probably needs taking on. So good luck with all that. And I hope you get people buying into the open concept for this. So well done. And for those that have attended session 6AN for feedback, please do give feedback. I'm sure the guys will want to get some feedback on their content, and we as a conference need feedback for coming events. So thank you very much. and
Thank you.
have a good day. Bye now.
Bye.